good morning, everyone, and welcome so much to the Spring Avenue of Heroes ceremony. My name is Tina Friend. I'm Coronado City Manager, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you to this 18th class of honorees. So, a round of applause to start things off, please. And you'll be doing a lot of that this morning because this is such an amazing, enriching program where the City of Coronado and the whole community get to celebrate incredible military careers of people who have lived or currently live in Coronado. So a really deep local connection and really inspiring, amazing military history. And this is a very unique program to Coronado. I will go into some of the history a bit when we dive into things a little bit later. But I will say this is the 10th year of the program, and this ceremony is offered twice a year, and we're inducting new members into the class of honorees. It really is incredible. And for me personally, I love this so much because I am a proud military daughter and granddaughter myself. So my father is a retired Army Sergeant Major, and my grandfather was a Marine who served in World War II in the Pacific Theater. He was in Saipan, Tinian, and in one of the first Amtrak battalions to beach on Iwo Jima. So military has always had a very strong thread throughout my life, and so coming to Coronado and seeing this tradition, it is just astounding to me. So we are so happy to be here. We're so happy you're joining us, honored with your presence. And we will be moving on, but before I do, we have some introductions because we are honored today with a lot of special guests. So I first want to start with our Coronado City Council members. We have 3 of them with us here this morning. And as I call your name, please rise, wave your hand so we can acknowledge you. So we first have Councilmember Mike Donovan. Good morning, welcome. We have Councilmember Carrie Downey. Good morning. We have Councilmember John Duncan. Thank you. And I don't know if I've seen him yet, but do we have a Naval Base Coronado commanding officer? Is Captain Montero here just yet? I know he was coming, I don't see him yet. But we have the commanding officer and the executive officer join us, and so they'll be here shortly. And there's a few other names I want to recognize. The Coronado Historical Association Board President Clyde Van Arsdal. Can you please stand to be recognized? And from the Coronado Detachment of the Marine Corps League, Lieutenant Colonel retired Rob Busby. I know he is here. Welcome, thank you. From the Silver Strand chapter of the Military Officers Association of America, President Chris Merwin. I know you're here. From the Coronado Council of the Navy League, President Joyce Murphy. Avenue of Heroes Committee member and Post Commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 2422, Lee Fulmer. Lee is here. Good morning, Lee. We have the Intermediate Past President of the VFW Auxiliary, Audrey Pearl Smock. And the current president of the VFW Auxiliary, Sarah Kaufman. Yes, thank you for being here. And I also have to recognize that we have some former city council members who are tirelessly at these events, so I'd like to recognize Marvin Hines, Mike White-Woody, right there, next to Marv, and Phil Monroe as well, in the same way. Thank you, council members, for your ongoing support. So with that, let's get the program started. So for those who are able, please rise for the parading of the colors and the singing of the national anthem.
Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Present. Colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors. Ready, cut. Right. Face. Back, step. March. Left, 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 right, right.
And please be seated. So thank you so much to the Coronado High School Navy Junior ROTC and Color Guard members, and that stunning rendition of the national anthem by our singer, JJ Gentry. Thank you so much, that was beautiful. Very moving, my heart rate picked up a few beats as I was listening to that. You know, and I'd also like to take a moment to thank some of the people that helped make today possible, like our ushers who are so wonderful at handing out the programs, thank you so much. And also the courtesy golf cart drivers to make it very comfortable for people to come in and out. So thank you to them as well. Now, before we dive into the program, I'd like to give a bit of history about how this came about. I already mentioned that this is the 10th year of the program. And the first one was held in 2014, and we have honored, in that time, 261 hometown heroes. And today we'll recognize an additional 16 members. So you can see this is a very robust, long-standing tradition, and we embrace this so fully. So in 2011, the Avenue of Heroes program was inspired spontaneously with the movement of 2 Navy SEALs to their final resting place. People lined 4th Street to honor the fallen service members. As the procession approached the Coronado Bridge, a lone Navy SEAL stood at attention, saluting, as he waited for the passage of his comrades. At that moment, it was clear that 3rd and 4th Streets were already an Avenue of Heroes. But in 2014, Coronado resident Tony McGowan and others tirelessly promoted a program to regularly recognize local military service members. That same year, the City Council designated 3rd and 4th Streets from Orange Avenue to Naval Air Station North Island as the Coronado Avenue of Heroes, and that is the official designation of that stretch of road. So McGowan's vision was brought to fruition by the adoption of the Companion Banner program, which you will see and we will talk about. So we are indebted to those early efforts to make this a reality, and again to the ongoing commitment of the council, the hometown banner committee, and everyone who makes this just an enduring, steadfast, amazing tradition. So this program is truly remarkable, and you will be regaled with incredible stories of heroism and service and sacrifice by service members and their families. They all have some strong connection to Coronado. So it resonates very, very deeply in this deep military town. But today we do have a couple of stories that do have special significance, and so you will hear in detail in a moment, but I just want to highlight them for you. First, I am incredibly honored to announce that today's ceremony includes a recognition of Amos Hudgens, a Black Civil War veteran who resided in Coronado. Amos was one of 3 Buffalo soldiers who made their home in Coronado post-Civil War. His biography is an invaluable piece of history, and we are proud to share it with you all today. And second, we are here together to pay tribute to an original member of the Avenue of Heroes Committee who sadly passed away earlier this year, and that is Chuck Lucas. He played such a vital role in developing this program into what we have today. He was a senior Chief Petty Officer and dedicated 21 years of his life serving the Navy. Chuck also served as the post commander for over 20 years. So it brings us great pleasure to announce that we will be honoring Chuck as one of our 16 hometown heroes. And is his wife Karen here today, so we can recognize her. Hello, Karen. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I also want to take a moment, so you will be hearing these incredibly rich stories. You might wonder, well, where did they come from? So there is a very intensive biography writing months ahead of this program. So there's sponsors that nominate the hero to be nominated, and then there's this long process to curate the photos and the video you see, as well as the text. And this takes a lot of time. There's a lot of care pouring over it to make sure it really tells a full arc of really intricate, incredible lives. And so thank you so much to all of you who sponsored a hero and also dedicated all those hours of time to share your story with all of us. So thank you very much. And then finally, I do want to recognize the Avenue of Heroes Committee. You know, this is a wonderful partnership between the City of Coronado and the Avenue of Heroes, and it would not have been possible without tireless, dedicated effort by these community volunteers. The committee is comprised of 2 members each from the 3rd and 4th Street Neighborhood Association, Coronado Veterans of Foreign War Post 2422, and the Coronado Historical Association. So I'm going to name off those members, and so we really want to thank you. So if you could please stand so we can recognize you and your contribution. So first we have Kevin Corcoran. Thank you so much. We have Lee Fulmer. Thank you, Lee. We have Jim Jameson, who's not with us today, but he's here in spirit, so thank you, Jim. We have John Nolan. Thank you, John. Darlene Parker, right here. Thank you, Darlene. And Daniel Stewart to my left. And they put in hours and hours and hours of attention year-round to bring this to you. So really, and it's been the same core group of people for a long time. So thank you so much for your dedication. And so now we get to turn to the part of the program we've all been waiting for. We are going to read through the biographies, and we have our 2 presenters here to my left. They will read each of the biographies for us. So the first is Kevin Corcoran, a retired Navy commander. And then with Kevin is Daniel Stewart, a retired Navy captain and SEAL. And as the biographies are read and the honorees and families are recognized, our city council members will be near the front to congratulate them. So now this is the exciting part of the program. Will you please join me in welcoming Daniel and Kevin?
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Kevin Corcoran. Daniel and I will read the biographies of today's honorees. After each biography is read, we ask that the honoree present, sponsor, and family members come up to the front of the stage to receive their mini banner and pose for photos. You may then return to your seats. Now let's get started. The first 5 honorees are all related and represent 4 generations of family and over 110 years of service. I'm going to read their biographies together, and then after they are all read, all 5 of them, we'll ask the 5 family members, the honorees, and their family to come up to the front of the stage for their photo. The first biography is for Dr. Joanne Page Elston Baird. Joanne was born on January 15, 1981 in Medford, New Jersey, to Gilbert and Cheryl Elston. She was an excellent student and athlete, earning 12 high school varsity letters in 4 different sports, including accolades of winning the gold medal in the Penn Relays 4x400 meter race as a freshman and competing in the state finals for soccer as a senior. She continued her athletic career into college, playing Division I soccer for William and Mary. Her love for sports drew her to the field of orthopedic surgery, and she was driven to pursue a career in medicine. Joanne was accepted at Georgetown University School of Medicine, and her family history inspired her to apply and gain acceptance into the Health Services Scholarship Program. When she graduated from medical school, Lieutenant Elston was sent to the Medical Center San Diego for an internship. She moved to Coronado to be closer to her Aunt Emily and Uncle Joe Talbot. After completing her internship, she was assigned to the USS Germantown as the General Medical Officer, where she earned her Surface Warfare Pin and the Navy Marine Corps Commendation Medal for meritorious service. After serving on the Germantown, Joanne returned to San Diego Naval Hospital for residency in orthopedic surgery. And she volunteered as an assistant coach for the Coronado High School varsity girls soccer team. Upon completion of her residency, Lieutenant Commander Elston married Charles Baird, and she was transferred to the Naval Hospital Pensacola as a general orthopedic surgeon. She continued training in combat care, earned a second commendation medal, and held several leadership roles, including as department head of orthopedic surgery. After 12 years in the Navy, Joanne pursued her true calling to subspecialize in sports medicine. She completed a fellowship in sports medicine at Andrews Institute in Gulf Breeze, Florida, then joined a private orthopedic practice in Alabama. Dr. Joanne Baird continues her passion for sports as a team physician for the Alberta High School Warriors. She now lives in Pensacola, Florida with her husband Chaz and their 2 children, Ryan and Lincoln. Thank you for your service, Dr. Joe. The next biography of the 5 is for Captain Robert W. Vollmer. Captain Vollmer was born and raised in Sterling, Illinois. He spent a year in Navy ROTC at Penn State University before entering the U.S. Naval Academy, graduating with the class of 1949. Bob first served on the light cruiser USS Juneau as gunnery officer during the Korean War. He married Jan Talbert, a Coronado girl, in December 1950 before entering submarine school in 1951. His first assignment was aboard the USS Spinax, homeported in San Diego. Bob and Jan resided in Coronado where they welcomed their first child. Bob served on the USS Stretta before being assigned to the USS Triton. He served as the navigator aboard the Triton during its first ever submerged circumnavigation of the world, earning the ship a Presidential Unit Citation. Following their return, Bob represented the command on the TV show To Tell the Truth, where he successfully fooled the judges into voting for the other 2 participants. He completed nuclear power training and served as the executive officer on the commissioned crew of the USS Dace. He later commanded the USS Barb, which was Rear Admiral Eugene B. Lucky Flucky's flagship. Captain Vollmer assumed command of the USS Thomas Jefferson Gold Crew for the 1 deployment and the Blue Crew through the ship's overhaul. He served on the Nuclear Propulsion Examining Board for the Commander-in-Chief, Atlantic Fleet, and then as commander of the Submarine Squadron 62. His final command was on the USS Fulton, which he took to establish a submarine base in Sardinia, Italy. Bob's final assignment was executive assistant and senior aide to the Office of the Chief of Naval Operations Submarines. Although Bob retired in 1974, his final deployment came when his ashes were shot out of the torpedo tube under the ice near the North Pole, courtesy of the U.S. Navy. The Vollmer and Talbert families have a strong history of military service. Bob's father was a fighter pilot in World War I. Jan's father and brother are being honored today, as are their daughter and granddaughter. Their son, Gary Vollmer, served in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Mission Corps, retiring as a captain. And their grandson, Christopher Elson, served in the Navy, a proud tradition. Thank you for your service, Captain Vollmer. The third biography of the 5 is for Captain Cheryl Elston on page 21 if you're following along in your program. Cheryl Lynn Bulmer is a Coronadan by birthright. She was born here in 1952 at the clinic on North Island to Robert and Joanne Bulmer. Although she was only 2 years old when she left Coronado, she had family living in the city since the 1940s. Growing up as a Navy dependent, she lived near naval stations up and down the coast. Before attending Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri, while at Stevens, she realized that her future was in the Navy. Cheryl transferred to the College of William and Mary, where she met with Navy recruiters and signed up for the Women's Officers Junior Program. Cheryl began her Navy career in Newport, Rhode Island. Her class was the first co-ed class to attend Officer Candidate School, setting a standard for future training. She married Ensign Gilbert Elston and reported to her first duty station, the Atlantic Operational Support Facility in Norfolk, Virginia. Ensign Elston received temporary duty orders to Sinclair Fleet to assist with the change of command ceremony. She then returned to her duties as Atlantic Operational Support Facility Training Officer. Lieutenant Junior Grade Elston was then transferred to the Commander Operational Test and Evaluation Force. He was the administrative assistant to the Chief of Staff and qualified to stand watch as a duty officer for the command. Her career then transitioned to the reserves. As a reservist, Lieutenant Elston drilled at the Naval Air Station Willow Grove, where she became qualified as an intelligence officer and changed from unrestricted to restricted line officer intelligence. She would rotate to serve as the administrative officer of a fleet intelligence Europe and Atlantic unit, the executive officer of the DIA or Defense Intelligence Agency unit, commanding officer of an Office of Naval Intelligence unit. She also served on the Reserve Intelligence Area 16 staff before retiring as a captain with 22 years in the Fleet Reserve. After relocating to Virginia for her husband's work, Cheryl worked for Hallmark as an assistant store manager, then as an office assistant for the College of William and Mary Foundation. Her two children, Joanne and Christopher, would follow in the family's footsteps, serving in the Navy. Thank you for your service, Captain Elston. The fourth biography is for Captain Joseph T. Talbot. It's on page 31 of your program. Papa Joe Talbot was born in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and grew up in Winona, Mississippi, where his father was a supervisor of agents for the Illinois Central Railroad. He was encouraged by his uncle and namesake to pursue his education at the Lawrenceville School to prepare for the U.S. Naval Academy. A member of the class of 1920, but called to duty in 1919, Joe served aboard 3 battleships, 6 destroyers. He was the commanding officer of 5 Navy ships, 2 Eagle-class patrol boats, the USS Eagle number 34 and the USS Eagle number 11. The destroyer, USS Manly, personnel transport ship, USS Hermitage, and the cruiser, USS Trenton. His years of service in the Navy also included duty as the aide and flight lieutenant to the commandant of the 15th Naval District in the Canal Zone, as enlisted personnel officer at the Bureau of Navy Personnel, at the U.S. Naval Academy, and at the 11th Naval District, San Diego. Of interest, the ocean liner Conte Biancameno was seized at Balboa in the Canal Zone when Italy declared war on the United States, and it was converted to the transport ship USS Hermitage. Joe was in command in 1944 and 1945, carrying men for the invasion of Normandy, and later making 10 more voyages carrying troops to Europe and returning with wounded prisoners and refugees. Following his retirement in 1947, Joe was the president of the Coronado chapter of the U.S. Naval Academy Alumni Association, treasurer of the Coronado Residential Association, in charge of trophies for the Coronado Floral Association, Red Cross Board of Directors, Navy League, and Military Order of World Wars. He married Anne Rominger in 1925, and their two children, Joanne and Joe Jr., both graduated from Coronado High School. Joe Talbert Sr. led a legacy of military service. His son Joe Jr., son-in-law Robert Bulmer, granddaughter Sherry Bulmer Elston, and great-granddaughter Joanne Elston Baird have continued in the service of their country in the United States Navy, and all are being honored here today. Additionally, his grandson Gary Bulmer served with distinction in the NOA Commissioned Corps, retiring with the rank of captain, and his great-grandson Christopher also served in the Navy. Thank you for your service, Captain Talbot. Next is the fifth and final biography for the Talbot, Bulmer, Elston, and Baird family. Captain Joseph Talbot Jr. Joe was a Coronadan through and through. His parents lived in Coronado when he was born in 1932. His father's Navy career took the family to Washington, D.C., Panama, and France, but somehow they always returned to Coronado. Joe graduated from Coronado High School in the class of 1950 and was a proud member of the U.S. Naval Academy class of 1956. The submarine service was Joe's favorite part of his 26-year naval career. Serving on a total of 7 submarines, the USS Redfish, USS Salmon, USS Carbonero, USS Theodore Roosevelt, USS Ulysses S. Grant, and in command of the USS Razorback in San Diego. At the conclusion of this tour, his boat was decommissioned and turned over to the Turkish Navy. The USS Razorback, arguably the longest serving combat frontline submarine still existing in the world, having been in service for 56 years in 2 different countries, is now a museum ship at the Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum in Little Rock, Arkansas. Other Navy assignments included service on the destroyer USS Floyd V. Parks, inertial navigation instructor at Dam Neck, Virginia, Air Force Command and Staff College, National War College, 7th Fleet Staff, Office of the Secretary of Defense, OPNAV, and as a political military strategic planner in the Office of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Joe met his wife of 50 years, Emily Haugen, in New London, Connecticut, and they were married in 1962. There are 3 sons, all graduated from Coronado High School. Returning to Coronado in 1979, he began a 25-year second career with several civilian companies supporting the Navy, in addition to acting as a technical advisor on the book, The Encyclopedia of Submarines. Joe contributed much time and energy to his beloved town, serving on the Citizens Advisory Panel and the Coronado Planning Commission. He was an early supporter and chair of Coronado's annual Motor Cars on Main Street, and served as the chairman of Coronado's Centennial Celebration Committee in 1986. His hobby of building ship models began early and flourished in retirement. One could usually find Joe in his garage, affectionately known as the shipyard, building Navy ship models for family and friends. Thank you for your service, Captain Talbot. Will the Baird, Bulmer, Elston, and Talbot honorees and families please come forward?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm General Stewart, and we'll now move on alphabetically through the list of honorees. The next biography is for AWS-1 James P. Buriak. whose bio appears on page 11 in your program. AWS-1 James Philip Buriak, United States Navy, died 31 August 2021 in Loosefoot 616 with 4 other helicopter crew members off the coast of San Diego. Jimmy served as a Naval Air Crewman Rescue Swimmer with Hilo Sea Combat Squadron 8 here in Coronado. Jimmy was born on May 9th, 1990 in Salem, Virginia. He graduated from Salem High School and Roanoke College in 2012. He joined the Navy in 2017 and spent time training in both San Diego and Pensacola before being assigned to the squadron in Coronado. He deployed aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt for 2 consecutive tours and multiple detachments before transferring to the USS Abraham Lincoln, also Coronado. Jimmy was an uncommon man. He held qualities that could not be given, but rather earned. He was an exemplary dad who loved his son, was not only a husband, but a soulmate to his wife, and a beloved son and brother. Jim avidly did CrossFit and would put your endurance and your strength to task. He prided himself on physical fitness and being able to protect his family and others if needed. The best example of Jimmy's courage, heroism, and ability to live up to the motto, "So others may live," occurred when he got his first save on Gun Beach, Guam, on February 8th, 2020, while off duty. He earned a Navy Commendation Medal for his heroic actions. Jimmy loved his family and lived every day like it was his last. He held friends and family close and built memories that will last a lifetime. Jimmy is survived by his wife, Megan, son Calder James Phillip, parents James and Carol Buriak, sister Laura, and brother-in-law Eric Zickerfuss. Jimmy lived by the following 10 rules for success. Do the work. Don't be lazy. Stop waiting. It is time. Rely on yourself. The universe doesn't care. Be practical. Success is not a theory. Be productive early. Don't be a baby. Life is hard. Get on with it. Don't hang out with half-wits. Don't waste energy on things you cannot control. Don't be a people pleaser. And don't do the same thing over and over and expect different results. In the words of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, those who've enjoyed such privileges as we enjoy forget in time that men have died to win those privileges. Jimmy understood and embraced this sentiment. Thank you for your service and ultimate sacrifice. Elias Buriak. The Buriak family, please come forward. All right. Do we have any members of the Buriak family present? All right. Thank you. Continuing on, the next biography is for Sergeant First Class Kenneth Castleman, United States Army. Kenneth "Ken" Castleman was born in LaFleurs, Texas in 1929. His family moved to California in 1930, and Ken graduated from Downey High School in 1947. Castleman was inducted into the Army and stationed at Fort Ord, Monterey, California in 1951. After completing basic and heavy weapons training, he attended leadership school and was promoted to corporal. In March of 1952, he was assigned squad leader for the 4th Squad, 2nd Platoon, Gulf Company. 4th Squad was a heavy weapons 30 caliber machine gun group. Castleman served 10 months on the front lines in Korea from February to December 1952, during which time he was promoted to Sergeant First Class. During those months in Korea, his usual routine consisted of 4 to 6 weeks on the front line and 1 to 2 weeks back at base camp before being reassigned to a new sector. Once at the news sector, it was Groundhog Day all over again, consisting of digging in the front line, off and on patrol, and setting up ambushes. Following one of his patrols, Castleman was ordered to report to the regimental command headquarters. Upon receiving the orders, he told them he'd be there just as soon as he got a chance to clean up. Despite his intentions, Ken was told they wanted him at HQ immediately. So he grabbed his gear and reported as ordered. There, his commanding officer informed him that General Eisenhower had recently been elected president, and that Castleman was selected to be a member of the honor guard that would escort the president at the inauguration parade. Sergeant First Class Ken Castleman marched as the first unit in that parade and was later featured in Life magazine. Shortly after serving in the Presidential Honor Guard, Ken received a separation from active duty and was placed in the Army Reserve. He returned to his home in Antioch, California, where he married and raised his family of 3 children. Ken received an honorable discharge from the military service in May of 1956. Today, at the ripe, young age of 94, Ken lives in Coronado with his daughter, Ardell, and son-in-law, Jeff. Thank you for your service. Ken, Lieutenant Castleman and his family, please come forward. Next, we have Senior Chief Hull Technician Richard A. Coolidge. Senior Chief Richard Coolidge was born December 18, 1935 in Boston, Massachusetts, the youngest of 6 children. His parents taught him the value of a hard day's work, and his handshake was his bond. He enlisted in the Navy at the age of 17 and served initially as a pipe fitter and later transitioned to damage controlman. His naval career took him many places around the world, and he always appreciated getting to know and train the sailors with whom he served. From Vietnam's Sea Float Command to the aircraft carrier USS Kitty Hawk here at North Island. Sea Chief Coolidge earned many awards during his distinguished career in the Navy, including the Presidential Unit Citation, 2 Navy Unit Commendations, 7 Good Conduct Medals, 2 Meritorious Service Commendations, 4 Vietnam Service Medals, and a Republic of Vietnam Medal with Gallantry Cause. On December 11, 1973, aboard the USS Kitty Hawk, a fuel leak sparked a fire in the main machinery room, 700 miles off the coast of the Philippines. Senior Chief Coolidge and the special firefighting teams worked tirelessly to extinguish the flames, saving over 5,500 lives. His relentless effort earned him his highest medal, the Navy Commendation Medal. In honor of this heroic achievement, Commander 7th Fleet, Vice Admiral Steele, wrote, "Chief Coolidge distinguished himself above and beyond by the aggressive manner in which he combated the fire to evacuate casualties. Ignoring his own personal safety, he repeatedly entered the space despite the overwhelming, intense heat." Sea Chief Coolidge retired on December 5th, 1987, after more than 32 years of wearing the Navy uniform. He and his lovely wife, Joan, moved to Vancouver, Washington, where he enjoyed tending his vegetable garden, woodworking in his garage, traveling, and visiting his favorite casinos. 25 years later, they sold their Washington home and returned to Coronado to be closer to family. Richard and Joan were married for over 60 years and enjoyed the beautiful beaches, people, and memories of Navy life in Coronado. Richard passed away on February 24th, 2016, at the age of 80. Before his passing, his young nephew David asked him if he was a war hero. And Richard replied, "Nope, just an old sailor." Thank you for your service. The Senior Chief Coolidge family, please come forward. This next biography is for Captain James Guido DiMatteo. Jim DiMatteo, a distinguished naval aviator and leader, boasts a celebrated career spanning over 25 years in the U.S. Navy. Graduating from the University of California, Berkeley, he followed in the footsteps of his father and brother by flying for the Navy, accumulating more than 6,500 flight hours across 5 different jet aircraft, and including combat missions during Desert Storm. His exemplary service led to commanding officer roles in the prestigious Top Gun adversary squadrons, where he achieved unprecedented success to include the Triple Crown of Naval Aviation Awards for operations, safety, and maintenance. Transitioning to civilian leadership, Jim served as race director for the International Red Bull Air Races for 14 years, orchestrating over 90 races worldwide and captivating over 80 million fans annually across 180 countries. At AirVenture in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, he revolutionized flight operations, features, and attractions, leaving an indelible mark on one of the world's largest aviation events. Additionally, he directed and flew with Breitling Jet Team for their 2-year American tour, captivating over 50 million spectators. In 2019, the United Kingdom appointed him U.S. liaison to the Royal Air Force Red Arrow's U.S. tour. Today, Jim continues to fly the F-5 Advanced Tiger in Red Air adversary missions against U.S. Navy F-18 and F-35s, accumulating more adversary flight time than anyone in history. Beyond his military and aviation endeavors, Jim's entrepreneurial spirit thrived, owning numerous successful ventures in the hospitality industry. He has received esteemed recognitions, including San Diego's Restaurateur of the Year, San Diego's Best Restaurant Award, the Trailblazers of the Year Award, the Sports Council Chairman's Award, and the Spirit of Life Award from the City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center. In recognition of his aviation, military, and business achievements, San Diego mayors officially proclaimed March 16th Jim DiMatteo Day. In aviation, Jim received numerous awards, including F-14 Pilot of the Year, Adversary Pilot of the Year, United Kingdom's Britannia Award as the top strike jet pilot, and his highest honor yet, induction, alongside his father, into the Aviation Hall of Fame for lifetime achievements in aviation, marking them the only father-son duo to ever receive this honor. Additionally, he won 3 National Collegiate Rugby Championships and represented the country on all Navy, all military national teams. Still active in the community, Jim and his wife Kathy reside in Coronado and have 2 children. Thank you for your service. Will Captain DiMatteo and his family please come forward? Next, we have Captain John C. Donahue III. Captain John Donahue enlisted in the Naval Reserve when he was 17. Graduating from the California Maritime Academy in 1963, he sailed as 3rd Assistant Marine Engineer on merchant ships. In the August of that year, he married Pat, a nursing student who impressed him when he locked her in the trunk of his car to prevent being caught with a guest on campus after hours. In October 1963, the draft called, and John accepted orders to active duty as a Naval Reserve ensign. At sea, Captain Donahue served as main propulsion assistant on the USS Zenla, a Vietnam era supply ship, then USS Horel, where he was qualified as a surface warfare officer, and on the USS Farragut as chief engineer. While assigned to the Naval Research Laboratory, he participated in the classified search for the missing submarine USS Scorpion. Captain Donahue served as a COM-6 Fleet Assistant Fleet Maintenance Officer in Naples, Italy. Later, he served as a shipyard project manager for the $250 million restoration of the guided missile cruiser USS Belknap, which was massively damaged in the collision with the aircraft carrier USS John Kennedy. He also served at NAVSEA as the Acceptance Sea Trials Officer for the FFG-class guided missile frigate. In 1987, as Deputy Supervisor of Shipbuilding in Pascagoula, Mississippi, he managed the $142 million restoration of the USS Stark, after she had been hit by 2 Iraqi Exocet missiles. Captain Donahue's final naval assignment was as commanding officer and supervisor of shipbuilding, conversion, and repair in New Orleans, where he oversaw a staff of 350 personnel and $5 billion in contracts. After retiring from the Navy in 1993, Captain Donahue worked as a military Sealift Command port engineer. He in fact traveled by motorhome to shipyards all around the country, returning to San Diego in 1998. Joining his parents as Coronado residents, Captain Donahue designed the construction of their current Pomona Avenue home. John spent 15 years also as the Midway Museum's engineering project and manager, and he and Pat stayed active in the Navy League, the American Society of Naval Engineers, Veterans of Foreign War, and the Silver Strand chapter of the Military Officers Association of America, and this last leading Letters to the Troops program. Captain and Mrs. Donahue's 60-year marriage was blessed by the Pope. They have 2 daughters, Kathleen and Michelle, and 3 grandchildren. Thank you for your service. Captain Donahue and his family, please step forward.
The next biography is for Sergeant Amos Hudgens. Born in 1845 in Missouri, Amos Hudgens, his mother, sister, and 8 others were enslaved by William Hudgens. In 1863, Amos escaped and crossed the Missouri River into Kansas to join the 2nd Kansas Colored Infantry Regiment of the Union Army. During the Civil War, Amos fought in the historic Battle of Jenkins Ferry, where his regiment distinguished itself by charging and capturing an enemy artillery battery, saving countless lives and helping turn the tide of the battle. The 2nd Kansas, later renamed the 83rd Regiment of the United States Colored Troops, was subsequently stationed in Arkansas on garrison duty in military outposts until the end of the Civil War. In 1867, Amos enlisted in the 10th Cavalry of the U.S. Army, one of 2 original African-American cavalry regiments of the United States Army, the famed Buffalo Soldiers. He served a 5-year enlistment based entirely within the boundaries of the Western frontier before mustering out with the rank of Sergeant, the 2nd highest rank possible for an African-American non-commissioned officer at the time. Amos married Annie Renfro in 1874. The couple moved to Topeka, Kansas, where Annie ran a millinery store, while Amos worked as a private scout and guide in the 7th U.S. Cavalry. After 269 soldiers of the unit were killed during the Battle of Little Bighorn, Amos hung up his military saddle. He worked the next 10 years as a barber, a very reputable job at the time when most African Americans were limited to menial labor. In 1887, Amos and Annie settled in San Diego's Logan Heights, where Amos established himself as a barber to the ship's wealthy and powerful. A son, Algernon, was born before the family moved to Coronado, eventually building a home at 845 B Avenue. Crippled while building the Ocean Boulevard seawall in 1906, Amos worked the next 17 years as a night watchman at the ferry landing warehouse, and often wore his trademark Buffalo Soldier hat around Coronado. Amos died in 1926 and is buried at the Mount Hope Cemetery in San Diego. Annie passed away in 1934. Algernon was a World War I veteran and lived in Coronado until his death in 1973. Thank you, Sergeant Hudgens, for your service. Will the Hudgens family please come forward? The next biography is for Senior Chief Petty Officer Chuck Lucas. Charles Chuck Lucas was born on June 26, 1952, in Winchester, Massachusetts, to Joseph T. Lucas, affectionately known as Papa Joe, and Louise M. Blakely Lucas. He was the eldest of 9 children, with 5 brothers and 3 sisters, who all adored him. In 1971, Chuck attended Navy boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois. He then transitioned to Virginia, where he resided for 5 years, before transferring to San Diego in 1978. He immediately fell in love with the area. He dated 21 years of his life serving in the Navy as a fire controlman, maintaining ship radars at sea. Progressing through the enlisted ranks, Chuck retired in 1992 as a senior chief fire controlman. Upon his retirement, he transitioned to civil service, initially at Balboa Hospital, and later at North Island, supervising ammunition and ordnance support for the Pacific Fleet. On January 9, 1999, Chuck married the love of his life, Karen Lucas. Embarking on the journey filled with companionship and love, Karen and Chuck enjoyed traveling and visiting with friends and family. While at North Island, Chuck solicited opportunities to support veterans, which led him to join the Coronado Veterans of Foreign Wars Post in 1997. Carrying on a family tradition spanning 3 generations, Chuck served as the post commander for over 20 years, passionately contributing to the veteran community. Chuck's commitment to Coronado was unwavering. He immersed himself in community service, serving as chairman and plank owner of the Coronado Avenue of Heroes Committee, participating in the Bring a Veteran to School Day, sponsoring parachute jumps with the VFW, grilling the Sunday night steak dinners during the summer months, and cooking Thanksgiving meals at the VFW. His personal favorite being the Master of Ceremonies at the Memorial Day services. Chuck had a deep-rooted love for both Coronado and the military, and believed that celebrating and acknowledging service members, veterans, and their family was a mission of utmost importance. His dedication earned him the 2023 Vice Admiral Edward H. Martin Award, recognizing his exemplary service to both community and country. Chuck passed away peacefully January 24th of this year. His legacy endures through his generous spirit, his leadership, and his profound impact on all who crossed his path. Thank you for your service. Will the Lucas family please come forward for a photo?
Bear with. 2, 1 more.
The next biography is for Captain Richard Martin, Sr. Captain Richard Dick Martin was born in Evansville, Indiana. In 1928, his father, the county sheriff, and his mother, a devoted wife, together instilled solid Midwestern family values into Dick and his brother Bert. For the dedication to serve his family, his community, and his country, Dick graduated from Boss High School in 3 years. He then attended Evansville College before attending the U.S. Naval Academy and graduating in the class of 1950 with a degree in engineering. He enthusiastically selected naval aviation, and then Ensign Martin earned his Wings of Gold in 1952. During Dick's illustrious career, he flew over 15 naval aircraft, including the SNJ Texan, the 81 and the 83 Sky Raiders, the SNB-2 Navigator, the TBM Avenger, the AF-2 Guardian anti-submarine war aircraft, the F-101 Voodoo, the F-9 Cougar, the F-80 Shooting Star, the F-4 Phantom, the CH-46 Sea Knight, the CH-53 Sea Stallion, and the SH-3 Sea King. He served on the USS Monterey, the USS Kula Gulf, the USS Gilbert Islands, the USS Lady, the USS Saipan, and the USS Coral Sea. And many of his flight hours were recorded in extremely hazardous conditions. While in his first squadron, VS-831, Lieutenant Martin was responsible for developing numerous carrier-based anti-submarine warfare tactics. After graduating from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, Dick was assigned to the Bureau of Aeronautics, becoming an aeronautical engineering duty officer, where he was upgraded the electronics of the SH-2 Foxtrot anti-submarine warfare aircraft. He was selected for the Navy's Jet Transition Program. He graduated and was ordered to VF-121 at Miramar Naval Air Station as the maintenance officer. Subsequent tours included duty on the Commander Naval Air Force's Pacific Staff, Naval Postgraduate School, where he earned a master's degree in finance, Deputy Program Manager for the VFX, ultimately the F-14 program. Captain Martin served as the commanding officer of North Island Naval Air Rework Facility and Harpoon Program Manager at Naval Air System Command. His twilight tour was again on the ComNav Airpac staff before retiring in 1977 after 27 years of dedicated service. He met and married the love of his wife, Dottie, on the winter solstice of 1950. And together they raised 4 beautiful children, Rick, Cherry, Tracy, and John. Today, Dick lives with his pups, Jazzy and Ivory, in the same Coronado home that he and his late wife bought in 1976. Thank you for your service. Captain Martin's family, please come forward for a photo.
One more.
The next biography is for Captain Eleanor J. Smith. Captain Smith enlisted in the United States Navy as a seaman recruit in 1977. Graduating with distinction from the Hospital Corpsman and Pharmacy Technical Schools, she advanced to Petty Officer Second Class. Completing associate degrees in both biology and chemistry, she graduated with a Doctor of Pharmacy from First Rank University of California, San Francisco in 1987. An active duty commission followed, and she completed a hospital pharmacy residency at National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland in 1991 during Desert Shield Storm. She then advanced to director of the pharmacy residency program. From 1994 to 1996, as head of the pharmacy department for the U.S. Naval Academy, Lieutenant and then Lieutenant Commander Smith was responsible for the pharmaceutical care of over 4,000 midshipmen. In 1997, she became a board-certified pharmacotherapy specialist, one of only 2,500 pharmacists nationwide. Following a 1998 move with her Navy Medical Corps husband, Dr. Smith continued her clinical expertise in the Naval Medical Center San Diego Anticoagulation Clinic. In 2001, Lieutenant Commander Smith was selected as Director for Administration, Naval Reserve, Naval Medical Center San Diego Detachment Alpha, responsible for 450 medical reservists during Operation Iraqi Freedom. In 2005, then Commander Smith was selected as Director of Administration, Operation Health Unit at Naval Medical Center San Diego Headquarters, where she was responsible for 800 service members. In 2006, Commander Smith was selected to Captain and served as Executive Officer of the Expeditionary Medical Facility, Great Lakes, Illinois, in support of Landstuhl, Germany, and then Commanding Officer and first female Medical Service Corps Officer for the Operational Health Support Unit, Naval Medical Center San Diego, providing health care in California, Arizona, Hawaii, and Guam from 2009 to 2011. From 2010 to 2012, she volunteered as a senior medical advisor and sole clinical pharmacist for 4 joint service humanitarian missions in Haiti, Hawaii, and Indonesia via the USNS Mercy. Post-command tours included the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Norfolk, Virginia, during Operation Enduring Freedom. Captain Smith retired in 2016, culminating a 31-year career of honorable military and professional service. Captain Smith's awards include the Legion of Merit, Defense Meritorious Service Medal with three awards, and is twice recipient of the Lamar R. Smith Pharmacy Award, active duty and reserve, the highest naval honor to the pharmacist who made the greatest contribution to Navy medicine. Thank you for your service. Will Captain Smith and her family please come forward? The next biography is Commander John J. Vieira. In 1940, John Vieira enlisted in the United States Navy at the age of 17 in response to the war in Europe, rejecting a football scholarship from the University of Notre Dame in favor of a life at sea. He fought in many sea battles during World War II and was a survivor of the Pearl Harbor attack as an 18-year-old seaman. After the war, John served as chief quartermaster and sailing master on Treasure Island's 90-foot training yacht, the Varuna. In 1951, he was appointed platoon commander of Underwater Demolition Team 11 in Coronado, his first special warfare assignment. He was also qualified in Navy hard hat diving, scuba diving, and as a parachutist. As a lieutenant on the underwater demolition staff, he played a vital role in starting the program that became SEAL Team 1. He commanded 3 ships, including the destroyer USS Wedderburn. One of John's remarkable feats happened off the Vietnam coast when he was commanding officer of the Wedderburn. He received a message that a U.S. Marine platoon was pinned down deep inland by the Viet Cong, beyond the range of the ship's firing guns. Without hesitation, John grounded the ship within striking distance of the Marines' position. The ship's guns blasted away, covering the Marines as they safely repositioned. Backing out into the open ocean, the executive officer reported that the props were churning up sheets of mud. Commanding Officer John treated that episode just like another day at sea. Commander Vieira retired from the Navy in 1972, more than 30 years of uniformed service. However, he continued his love affair with the sea as an unlimited master mariner, piloting ships worldwide. In 1995, John fully and finally retired from his 55 years at sea without any accidents, but with many near misses. His retirement was marked in Ketchikan, Alaska, by a poignant announcement made over the intercom of the Holland America ship, loudly proclaiming, "Attention to the forward gangway. A great sailor is leaving the sea." John passed away in 2001 at the age of 77. Thank you for your service. Today's last biography is for Captain Charles C. Youngill, Commander Vieira's father-in-law. So I will read this bio, and then we invite both families to come up to the front after the reading. Captain Charles Youngill was born in 1893 and volunteered for duty in the 5th Ohio Infantry in April 1917. He was commissioned a second lieutenant in the Army Reserve and served as platoon commander in Company Golf, 4th U.S. Infantry, 3rd Division, from 1918 to 1919. During World War I, he fought on the front lines in 7 major battles in France. After the war, he earned his Doctor of Medicine degree from the Medical College of Western Reserve in 1924. In 1927, he resigned his Army Reserve Commission to accept a Navy commission as a Lieutenant Junior Grade Medical Corps. His World War I victory ribbon with 7 stars was quite a curiosity on his Navy uniform. He was also plank runner with USS Lexington in the late 1920s, and later served as flight surgeon on the USS Yorktown from 1940 to 1942, participating in several South Pacific battles. Dr. Youngill was the first Navy flight surgeon to go to sea on USS Lexington. Many pioneer aviators on that ship went on to become admirals who won World War II in the Pacific. Dr. Yankel treated them, flew with them at every chance, and later wrote Practicing with the Aviators, which was a published article in the U.S. Naval Proceedings magazine. Dr. Yankel held many senior staff positions, including Commander-in-Chief Pacific Fleet Staff, Commander Cruiser Destroyer Staff, and Marine Corps Air Stations. From 1929 to 1932, he served at the Naval Academy, pre-selecting midshipmen for aviation. In 1951, he commanded the Naval Hospital at Coco Solo, Canal Zone. To honor his retirement in 1954, 5,000 Marines passed in review for him in the Recruit Depot's parade. Dr. Yankel loved Coronado Island since he first saw it in 1928. He and his wife frequently enjoyed an after-dinner drive down the Strand and back. In 1983, at the age of 90, he died in an automobile accident on the Strand when their car, driven by his wife of 56 years, was hit head-on by a driver who had an epileptic seizure and lost control of his own car. Dr. Yankel lived a full life of honor and service. Thank you for your service. Will Captain Yankel and Commander Vieira's families please come forward?
Right, here we go.
All right, we're nearly done. Before we wrap up, we want to make sure we recognize all the current and all the former banner winners or banner honorees that are here today. Would they all please stand? Would you all please stand? All the former banner winners.
Thank you to all our honorees, their family and friends, and the City of Coronado for its sponsorship, and all who helped put this event together. As we approach Memorial Day, we are honored to tell the stories of these local heroes and to demonstrate our appreciation for all they do or have done for our country. I'll now invite City Manager Tina Friend back to the stage for closing remarks.
All right, now weren't those biographies absolutely incredible? Every time I range from goosebumps to tears, but I always end up feeling so full. I'm always so inspired by the service. Life can be difficult. There's a lot of challenges out there, and to be reminded of the level of service is incredible. And what I always note is the service is not just, it starts with military service, then it's maybe some other career service, and always volunteer service to their families. It never ends. It's so amazing. So what an incredible event. So we want to say we are always very interested in honoring our military heroes who have a connection to Coronado. So although you heard a lot about medals and accolades, we are so interested to tell your story. So please look in your brochure where we have a way to nominate. We want to hear you. We want to share your stories. So a few notes of thanks before we wind up this morning. First, we've talked a lot about the Avenue of Heroes Committee, but I have to mention the incredible team in the City Manager's Office who works side by side to make this happen. So we have Kelly Maples. So Kelly, you can raise your hand. I don't know where you are. Kelly Maples. And Andrea McCullough and Kelly Purvis, who I think is in the standards up there. You're amazing. Thank you. So a few more thanks. First of all, our biography readers, you did a remarkable job. Congratulations, Daniel and Kevin. Thank you so much. Thank you, council members, for your ongoing support of this. The City Council chooses every year to keep funding and keeping this going. So think of your ongoing support. Distinguished guests, family and friends, those who nominated and wrote the biographies, thank you so much for sharing the stories with us. We carry them with us now into the future. And then finally, a final note of thanks for our award winners and our heroes awarded today. Congratulations, thank you so much. And we invite you to have refreshments in the lobby, to come together, enjoy each other, and have a wonderful day in Coronado. Thank you.